Hello there friends, and welcome back to my kitchen. It is Sunday afternoon. I've made a game plan for the week and I'm about to cook some dinner. So I thought we could hang out and have a little bit of a chat. This is a very typical Sunday for me and I thought it might help you get some inspiration to get sorted for your week. So let's dive into what we're having for dinner tonight. I thought it was time for more of a vlog style video where we can hang out together. Obviously I'm going to share with you what I'm cooking for dinner, but I also wanted to show you a couple of fun things. I am working on a whole kitchen tour, so that will be coming up fairly soon, of my kitchen area that you see all the time here, as well as in there in my pantry. But I did want to show you a new companion in my kitchen, which is Diego the drunken duck. I don't have a lot of decor in my kitchen, but my husband picked this up for me recently. I've been looking at it in a decor shop in the area where we live. It's just made of wood. It is super funny, but it's so cute. Anyway, I know it might look tacky, it might not be your style, but I love him and his name is Diego. I don't really know why, but his name is Diego. And yeah, so you're gonna see him in the background in some of my videos in the future. I think he's hilarious. So aside from drunken ducks, we are also gonna be making some dinner, and I thought I'd just answer a few of your questions as well throughout this video that have been popping out in the comments recently. So yeah, let's get into cooking up some dinner for tonight. So a couple of weeks ago, I did a video on quick versus easy, and naturally sometimes we do need quick shortcuts for things like takeaway or pre-cut veggies or something that's just really quick and easy to get dinner on the table. I will link the whole video up there if you're keen to check that out in more detail. But tonight's dinner is going to be a typical easy, but not very quick. So what are we having? Well, I have a bunch of vegetables down here. And I've got a really busy day tomorrow afternoon and evening. I've got a late work meeting, so I'm not going to be around to cook dinner. My husband's pretty busy as well tomorrow. So I'm just going to cook enough dinner tonight. I'm not going to freeze anything as per my one for now, one for later freeze one. But I'm going to cook dinner for tonight, which will mean enough leftovers tomorrow night so no one has to cook, which is great. So oven roasted vegetables is probably one of the easiest things you can make. You peel and chop your veggies. Half the time I don't even peel them. You toss them in some oil and some seasoning of your choice and you cook them in the oven. My favorite thing to do with vegetables is to cook them in the oven for about an hour, 50 minutes to an hour, but on a lower temperature. So somewhere around 170, 180 degrees Celsius-ish. And look, they turn out really nice that way, and you can then cut them fairly big. If you want your veggies to cook faster, you can obviously cut them a lot smaller. But I do find that long and slow is usually how you get those really nice vegetables as well. But along with this, and I went to Aldi yesterday, no, the day before, and this was not on my shopping list, but this is a steal of a deal at the moment at $3.99 per kilo. So I've got 1.7 kilos of chicken here, well obviously including bones, etc., for $6.82. So between two people, $6, what's that? Yeah, that's like just over $1.50, $1.60 a serving for the meat part. If this was two dinners for us two, it might actually make a little bit more. This is super easy. I cook mine in my turbo oven, convection oven, but you can cook yours if you've got an air fryer, or if you just have a regular oven. I love these sort of shortcut things with these bags here. It makes the bird really juicy. You don't get the crispiness that you get in the turbo oven, which is why I prefer to do the turbo oven, but this is a really great shortcut and keeps it nice and clean. You can get these from Coles, Woolworths, and I think it's, I don't even know, like $1.50, $2 for four or five of these bags. So it really is not that hard to make a roast chicken as you might think. I also find it really interesting, like there was a time in my life where cooking a roast was like unfathomably adult and grown up to do, and it's something that I just never did until probably around the time I met my husband about 8 years ago, and we started doing a Sunday roast more often. And honestly, whether it's chicken or some other kind of protein of your choice, some kind of vegetables, and if you don't like making gravy, sometimes I make gravy from scratch, but otherwise you can get the shortcut gravy from Woolies or Coles or similar, almost all of these are naturally gluten-free anyway, and I'm just like, why slave away sometimes? So this is something that I'm willing to do like the quick shortcut on sometimes, but I'm gonna be cooking this up, and I know some of you will say, Emmy, don't waste the drippings from the chicken. You know what? I may actually use the drippings and the fat from the chicken and make my gravy out of that today. I haven't decided yet. Now this chicken is gonna take between 1 and 1.5 hours to cook in my turbo oven, so I'm gonna get that going first. And then I'm gonna cut up and season all my veggies, and they're gonna hang out in the oven for anywhere between 50 to 60 minutes. And that is how easy we can make dinner tonight. Now we do want to cook this bird breast down, but I'm going to season this side first and flip it over. Here is half of a very juicy lemon. I'm just going to put that right here in the cavity of the chicken, and then that's going to help it stay really nice and juicy while we cook it. So I'm just going to wash my hands. Obviously wash your hands when you're handling chicken. Okay, and then with our seasonings, we're going to keep it really, really simple. I'm going to be doing some smoked paprika. Regular paprika is perfectly fine if that's what you have on hand. Then we're going to do some garlic. Some onion. Some good old salt. And finally just some black pepper. I sometimes use white pepper. I mix it up a little bit. All right, now we're just gonna give it a little rub-a-dub-a-dub. Get it all coated, and then we're gonna flip it over so we're breast down. That way your chicken is gonna be a bit more juicy if you cook it breast down. And then we're just repeating our seasonings on this side. If someone would have told me when I was younger how easy it actually is to cook up a roast chicken or roast any kind of animal, it is not that difficult. Okay, so now we're gonna pop the turbo oven on and get this cooking. All right, so I've got my chicken ready to go back here, and I've got my turbo oven ready to go. And how a turbo oven works is that basically you've got a giant glass bowl, and then you've got like a heat thing that is basically heating it from above, and this is all your temperature gauges. So typically how I do it is I will set it to 60 minutes on the timer at about 200 degrees, 220 degrees, and I'll keep an eye on it. And this will automatically go off as the timer goes off. And I will check the internal temperature, but almost always with a chicken of this size, I will then add this on top, meaning I will move the heat higher up, so it'll continue to crisp without burning for about another half hour. So that's how I do it. Obviously, when you are cooking meat, especially chicken, you do need a meat thermometer to make sure that you're actually got the right internal temperature. And there we go, my chicken is cooking away. It's gonna hang out there for at least an hour and a half, but it'll go an hour at a time when you're working with a device like this one. So now we're just going to cut up all my vegetables. I'm gonna toss them in some oil and some seasoning, and I'm gonna set my timer to about 30 minutes because that one needs an hour and a half, and the veggies only need a little bit less than an hour. So let's get that prepped. All right, so I've just peeled my potatoes and I'm just gonna quarter them. Normally I would never even bother peeling potatoes, but these were looking a little bit sad, so I wanted to make sure that I peeled them and that they were looking okay on the inside, which they absolutely were. So I'm just quartering them. These are quite small baby potato type things. And you're probably thinking, my gosh, Emmy, you have an insane amount of vegetables. And yes, I do. A lot of this is from my latest Farmer's Pick order. And I am running out of room on my oven sheets. So I'm actually gonna cook my broccoli over here. We're gonna cook that up in the microwave. I'm actually gonna steam it in one of my Corningware because I don't think I'll have enough room for all the veggies in the oven. But there are my potatoes, and now we're just going to halve these gorgeous little Brussels sprouts as well. If you would have told me 5 years ago that I would be cooking Brussels sprouts on the internet, I would certainly not have believed you, but here we are. As a kid, I absolutely hated Brussels sprouts, but as an adult, I've come to really like them. So normally how I make Brussels sprouts is I just halve them, and I'm going to toss them in the same oil mixture as all the other veggies. And I am going to be keeping an eye. I'm going to keep my Brussels sprouts on sort of 1/2 because they may not need quite as long as some of the other vegetables. I also don't love doing cauliflower and broccoli in the oven simply because they do sort of they don't need quite as long cook time, so they can get a bit too brown and crispy for my personal taste. So yeah, so we're just gonna cut this up now. I just love this. And you might be going, Emmy, you're crazy, that's a lot of vegetables. Well, we're probably not gonna have all this with our 4 dinners worth. I'm probably gonna be having some of these veggies with some, I might boil or fry an egg to have for lunch with it. I might do a, you know, a big dollop of cottage cheese or something else for my protein. So there are so many different ways to use oven roasted vegetables. And if you're already running your oven anyway, I'm kind of the view that why wouldn't you just, you know, do as much as possible while you're running it and while you're using the electricity anyway. So here we go, same container, same seasoning. This is looking good. And we're gonna chuck this all in the oven, and then I'm gonna show you what I do with the broccoli. But obviously this is gonna cook for quite a while. So I'm just gonna prepare the broccoli. I'm not gonna cook it quite yet. And we'll get this ready. Alright, so my vegetables are in the oven, and as you saw, I have 2 absolutely massive full trays. So we are not going to be eating all of that for 2 dinners or 4 portions worth, but I will definitely have leftovers that we will be having with other things. I guess this is also just my philosophy when I'm trying to cook as much as possible from scratch, because it is not harder to cut up more vegetables and prep it like this. And they will last just fine in your fridge in an airtight container for a few days. So that is going to be some really delicious food. I've set my timer. This is coming up to half an hour of cook time, so it's got another hour-ish or to go. So I've just put my vegetables in now, and I will set a timer. 1 second. Alexa, set timer for 50 minutes.
Good evening, Emmy. 50 minutes, starting now.
Thank you, Alexa. I love having company in the kitchen. So all I'm gonna do now is prep the last little bit, and I haven't decided yet if I'm using instant gravy or not. I will let you know later. And now we're gonna prep the broccoli, and all I'm gonna use is one of these sort of Corningware containers with a glass lid. I love using these sort of things in the microwave. I know some of you don't like cooking with microwaves at all, totally up to you. I use mine all the time, but I don't use plastic in my microwave. So this is really great because all I'm gonna do is cut up my broccoli, put a tiny dribble of water in the bottom of this, and then I'm gonna cook it so it kind of steams in the microwave for 5-6 minutes or so. We're gonna keep an eye on it. But I'm gonna get this ready so that when we get closer to eating, I'm just gonna pop that on. And another thing when it comes to broccoli is please do not throw away the stem. It's actually perfectly edible. I see a lot of people throw away this whole entire part of broccoli. It is perfectly fine to eat it, but what you wanna do is I just take off the outside, and I'll show you what that looks like here on the screen. You can still 1000% use that part of the broccoli. So don't throw that away, just, you know, peel it a little bit and it's gonna be really tasty. Oh my God, I just love broccoli. Let me know in the comments if you're a broccoli or a cauliflower person. I'm both, but probably more broccoli than cauliflower. It's like a beautiful, beautiful flower. All right, I'm gonna cut this up and stop being silly. And then I'm actually gonna go have a bath before it's ready to serve dinner. Isn't that a wonderful thing? Because when you do things this easily, my oven's ticking away, it's working for me. I love being in my kitchen. All right, and there is my broccoli ready to go in the microwave when I'm ready to pop that on. But right now, I'm gonna go and relax, and I will see you a little bit later with dinner. So tonight's dinner is a really good example that you don't have to spend hours in the kitchen. This prep and chatting to you has taken me about 15 minutes. And in that time, I've got a beautiful roast chicken cooking. I've got vegetables in the oven, and I'm just gonna have to press on my vegetables in the microwave about 10 minutes before we serve dinner. So it can be incredibly simple, and I love being in my kitchen. I love hearing the sounds of cooking around me. I love smelling the beautiful smells coming out of the cooking. And if you want to take some shortcuts, like I probably will tonight with the gravy, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to cook every single thing from scratch just because you do some things from scratch. But my future self will thank me because I already have leftovers for lunch in the fridge ready for tomorrow. And now I'm gonna have some vegetables. So I'm probably not gonna have to worry about lunch prep until like Wednesday. So how good is that? Thank you, future Emmy, past Emmy are like high-fiving each other now. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this short video. I'm gonna show you here what dinner looked like in the end. I know already that it's going to be delicious and nutritious, and we're going to have a lovely dinner and a lovely chat because I've been out and about most of the day. My husband's doing his own thing today, so it'll be lovely for us to reconnect over a wonderful meal tonight. I hope you have an amazing week wherever in the world you are, and let me know down in the comments what you are meal prepping this week and any great recipes that you have that you would like to share with us.